Hi. Well, I'm a little bit nervous. That's my fourth advertising week in a row, and I'm still not used to come to the stage and talk. But I think it feels good because I'm talking about myself. Like, who doesn't like to talk about himself or herself? So, okay. Okay, thanks for being here today. I would like to exchange gifts with you just before we start this. And I'd like to invite you to be here with me for the next 30, 40 minutes. Truly be here with me. I'd like you for the next 30, 40 minutes, just to put your mobile down if you can. Take photos, that's fine, but just be with me. In exchange of this presence and this amazing gift that you're giving to me, I promise to be honest to you and tell how it is, tell everything that happened to me. It's a pretty interesting story. So in gift of your time, I'll return the truth to you, and I'll give you the best of me. So thanks for being with me. So I'm going to talk about resilience today, and resilience is as a process, not as an outcome. There's no outcome called resilience. Resilience is, in my perspective of the world, is a muscle that continues keep developing and building up. It's about falling 7 times and standing 8. It's one of my favorite quotes in Buddhism is how I fell 7 times and I stood up 8. And I know I'm going to fall again. It hasn't finished. I want to talk about how I moved myself from being a reactionary person, aggressive, thinking I was doing the best I could, thinking I was being the superhero for my wife, for my family, for my team. And I was just being a dickhead. Yeah, again, I want to talk to you about how we can move ourselves from reacting and acting. So, but before everything, I'd like to let you know who I am. So I was born in Brazil, 1974, from a hippie mom and a working class dad. And I had my turn of really bad stuff. By 13, I lost my dad in a car accident overnight. By 19, I was diagnosed bipolar, officially bipolar, back in the time when it got crazy. By 20-ish, I was alcoholic, again, officially diagnosed. And by 28, I lost a job of about 250K, 300K as a director for Marketing and A.I, South America in Brazil. I had a lot of bad shit happen in my life, but I was one of the lucky ones that also found solace. When I lost my dad, I moved from the countryside into São Paulo city, and I was brought up by my auntie, my uncle, and my cousins, who now became my family. 15 years ago, I moved to Australia to start brand new. And I convinced my wife I could speak English. I could not speak English. I said, no, I speak English. And she could not speak English. So I just came up with some words and she, oh yeah, you speak English. So we rock up in Sydney and I said, live with me. I can make this happen. And I put my passport in front of the guy, and he spoke to me. I have no fucking idea until these days. And I just say, look, just don't worry. I've got there. And I did it. I've moved to Australia, built this agency, a digital agency, grew this agency up to $10 million. We had a couple of really big clients, Mercedes-Benz, Kraft Foods, Oreo, some really big clients there. And I've employed about 200 people in and out in these 10 years. And last year I sold the agency. And I'm about to explain to you why. I'd like to also give a little bit of feedback about who I am. And the reason I do this is just to demonstrate that you have no fucking idea how many battles each one of you guys are going through. And if this is not enough for you to be kind and to have empathy with others, I don't know what else would be. We all fighting our own battles. You're just not aware of. And the reason I'd like to show you is just to demonstrate that externally the package that everybody was seeing was perfect. Was that perfect apple, polished, beautiful, walking there, but inside I was rotten. I was dying. I used to ask people to hug me because of so many broken pieces I had inside myself. I just wanted someone to bring these pieces together. But I didn't tell anyone. So I'm a lawyer. I have an MBA. I have a certification in psychology by University of Toronto. I also Harvard in Buddhism. I think I'm just the only person in the world doing that. Game theory at Stanford. MIT, I've done artificial intelligence, which I lecture in Australia. I'm also a lecturer on RMIT, which is our Australian version of MIT. I lecture in marketing, and I lecture in artificial intelligence. These are my two classes. That's me recording a video on artificial intelligence. In 2018, 2018, I was accepted into the Marketing Academy, which is a mentorship leadership program that it gets about 1,000, 1,500 applicants in Australia, and just 30 people make it. And you get mentored for 1 year with the best in class on marketing. So that's a really, it's pretty much the Oscars of marketing business. I have friends. I have 2 dogs that I love to death. That one there laying down, it's Kylie, and she has terminal cancer. She has a month to go. Which again, it's flow, it's life, it's what happens to life. It broke my heart. So I have friends, I had my agency, everything looked amazing. Everything looked amazing. I drive a luxury car, I have a big house, big agency, great friends, a shitload of certification that kind of, I wanted to define who I was. That was the thing that would come before me. Who are you? Oh, well, I'm MIT professor, I'm this and that. I was defined by this shit stuff. My history, my reinvention starts here. So this is a typical train station in Australia. And this is where on the 23rd of September, 2018, 5 days after my birthday, I tried to commit suicide. I parked my car, I wrote a note, and I walked to the train line. And the reality is, for some reason, my hero personality came and said, you cannot do that. You just can't. You have a lot of people who depend on you financially, emotionally. You need to be here, at least for a little while. And that was my chance. There was my chance to look back a life without any purpose. A life where the ending line was just moving every day. A life where I used to compare myself with everybody, but not with the version I was the day before, which is a much healthier way to do it. So I walked back and I cried for help. I called some people, I called a doctor, I called friends, I spoke to people openly, and I told them what just had happened. What happened after that is I just reinvented myself, all right? I sold my agency. I decided it was enough. And what I've done was, rather than going to a merger and acquisition for multipliers of 5 or 7 or 10 or 15, I realized that I wasn't fighting for money. I was fighting for freedom. The same walls that I had to protect me, they became my prison. But I had not realized that because I was way too focused in projecting myself as an image of success to others. And I guarantee we all still do. After that, I decided to change. I decided that that was not sustainable any longer. I just could not do this anymore. So what I decided to do is I decided to stop comparing myself with others and shaming myself for not being successful as you, or you, or you. I got the shame, I got the guilt, and I control that. I also decide to experience life. There's an old saying in ancient philosophy called Stoicism. It's called memento mori. It means you're dead. Your life, what you have lived, it's gone. So let that help you to decide what you say, what you talk, and what you act, it's fascinating for me. So I decided to experience life, and I decided to research resilience. So what I've done is I embarked in a series of adventures around the world. I went to live with refugees, and I lived with refugees to research resilience, to understand how those people who are absolutely like you and I, how they can survive sitting in such inconsistent without having control of their own lives, and they still can put a smile on their face. How? I went to live with Cuban families to understand the resilience, to understand how they can be so happy having so little. I went to meditate with Buddhist monks in China. I trained Kung Fu with Confucius just because I could. So there's not really a massive reason for that. I've changed. I start doing like I used to travel. I've been to about 14 countries this year only. I used to travel and stay in hotels, which is pretty cool, don't get me wrong. So I've changed. Now I share apartments on Airbnb. That's a phenomenal story. I was in an advertising week in Sydney, and I traced one who was for some reason I was looking holes, and I was trying to find someone who was an older person to share an apartment. And I found this woman in Sydney. She's 80-something years. I wanted to understand the resilience, and she was living by herself, so I went to share. I came to New York, and the prices of the hotel was just incredible high. So I decided to stay with a guy who works with the Navy. I think he works with the Navy here, a veteran, actually. Now I moved, and I'm staying on YMCA, because I can. And it's so interesting. This morning, we have, as you know, YMCA has a shared bathroom. And I went to the bathroom when I was just washing my face and then waking up. And someone walked in and said, "Oh, fuck this shit. Like, we need to share, la, la, la." And walked up. Another guy came in and he said, "Oh, good morning, how are you?" And I said, "The fuck is going on? It's the same bathroom." Just reinforce how we tell ourselves these stories. So the Stoics say that in this life, we just need to conquer three things. Three things and three things only. Our mind, our actions, and our will. Because we're not in control of anything else. So throughout all these journeys, I cannot be talking about my journeys and all this sort of stuff. This was my turning point. I want to talk to you about a few things that I found for myself and the rules I live by right now. And hopefully, that can resonate with you guys. And hopefully, you can find your own version of that. And it can bring a smile to your spirits, to your souls, to your brains today. So the first one is, nothing's constant. We don't own anything. Everything is flow. That lesson came from Buddhism. I'm a Buddhist. We crave things. We despise things we don't want. But let me tell you something. You're not in control. You're in control of your mind, not of your body you control. You can walk here, God forbid, an accident happens to you. You get sick. The only thing you fully control is your mind. In the reality, everything is flow. My little dog, it's been with me for 15 years. It's the love of my life. I can't tell you how much I love that dog. And she's dying. She has terminal cancer. And I even thought about not coming here to spend more time with her, but would not change anything. Whatever is lived is lived. It's delusion. It's really delusion to think that you can freeze time and you can get yourself on that situation. That job gonna finish. That relationship might finish or not. We will born, get sick, die. And this is not bad. It's actually freedom. It's freedom. For me, it was a major freedom for my life. And that's how I see it. So my thing here is I accept change and I just move with that change. I don't get stuck to things anymore. Titles, everything else, cars, everything else. Be proud, but don't try to define ourselves for that. The second is, life is not fair. Rejections are crushing. And again, stop losing shit about things not worth giving a fuck. I don't get it. I used to be in meetings and I would presenting my strategy and someone would complain about the font. I'll get angry as hell. Why? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You have a limited fucks to give. And if you're going to give a fuck for every single little thing, you're fucked. That's the language of F's, right? So I used to think things very personally, right? And I stop it. I stop things. I still do. Don't get me wrong. But how many of you guys would look at each other? For example, I would be defined as if someone would look at my sneakers and say, "Oh, white sneakers, done. My end had finished for that little shit." We get rejected, and that's not personal. You are not the only person trying to get rich, trying to get the job at Google, Facebook. All of us are trying. All of us trying the same thing. One version of these same things. And the reality is, a lot of people are going to be rejected every single day. It just happens. I really like what Jack Ma, although I'm not really a big fan of him from Alibaba, I really like one thing he said, that today is hard, tomorrow is going to be harder, but the day after is going to be beautiful. And I truly believe that, and I truly live by that. Get over the fact that rejections are personal, because they rarely personal, they're situational. And every time I would get myself stuck to a role and be defined for only that thing, I would have staff quitting the job because they had a better opportunity going somewhere to grow, to get a better job, more flexible hours, or I don't know, a better career projection. That would be personal betrayal. How dare you? You're quitting me. And how stupid is that? But I guarantee we all do that. We all do this kind of stuff. Because we are after the same truth, all right? We are after being accepted by who we are. We are after happiness. But what the fuck is happiness? Can someone define to me what's joy? I'll tell you my version of joy. My version of joy is the lack of mental conflicts. Know that little soundtrack that you get in your brain? That you're not beautiful enough, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, or you don't deserve that job, or you shouldn't be here. That's you talking to yourself and convincing you of that thing. That's the soundtrack of our lives. The moment we can stop that and push that to the side, that's where joy starts playing up. And that's my definition of joy. You can find another stuff on Wikipedia and other stuff. We are not giving a short life. That's the deal, right? We're not giving a short life. We make it short giving a fuck about things we shouldn't be giving a fuck. I've done more. I have lived so many years just this year. That's incredible. I never believed I would be doing all these things I've been doing. So the lesson number 3 is crying is okay. And what I mean for this, I mean awareness of your feelings. Okay? Feelings more than sentiments, they drive actions. Okay? Feeling is very quick. It's the first thing you feel. What sentiments are a little bit more long-lived. Unfortunately, we are reactionary to our feelings. And that's the moment that we yell at someone. That's the moment you interrupt your colleague in the work. That's the moment you get angry with your kids. That's the moment you yell at your colleague in the workplace, and then you go out to the corridor, bitching about your colleague, and justify rationally what you just did it because of your inability to control your incentives or anything you received in your reaction to that thing. And that's the emotional intelligence right there. It's your ability to recognize what you're feeling and control the story you're telling in your brain. Control the story you're telling in your mind. How many times you walk into a meeting and Roberto got challenged by a colleague, in your brain, you've been challenged as a human being, you've been challenged as a man, you've been challenged for different reasons. And that drives your action of being aggressive. And then that's a whole fuck goes from there. And then you don't talk to the person, you go yelling, you call someone to the side and say, oh, John is really pain in the ass. You know, bad-mouthing people, it's contagious. It's like a freaking virus. One of the mandates in Buddhism is we don't talk about people. Not bad, not good. We just don't. Because that generates a massive amount of conflict in your house, in your workforce, any place you go. The recognition of feelings, I used to say, no, I'm good. Something bad happened to me, I'll say, no, I'm good, I'm gonna go and do my next thing, and I just keep moving. And that thing would accumulate. And then suddenly, I would be the most aggressive person on earth with the stuff. And I would justify there with that person as, oh, I'm sorry, I was tired. I'm sorry, you know, I apologies, but the but world, that's the horrible thing. Apologies for yelling with you, but you need to understand that you did this with me. What kind of apology is there? So I think the whole thing for me is, if you don't acknowledge your feelings, if you don't acknowledge what you're feeling, what happens is you don't drive awareness. If you don't drive awareness, you become the same person over and over and over and over and over. That's a continuous loop, and that's what I did with my life. That's me on a refugee camp, and I learned empathy. I just learned empathy. Every single person in this room, all of us, we are fighting a unique battle that you're not aware of. It might be your son, you're probably in school, your husband, your colleague. We all have troubles, believe me. And just that fact alone should be enough for you to be kind to someone. Kindness is not vanity, it's necessity. And if someone asks me, what is the one thing that we need to do to fix workforces, to give more chances to women in workplace, to actually equalize the problems we have in society, I would say kindness. Fucking kindness. Unreserved, beautiful, unique, unconditional kindness. And we don't do that. We conditional kindness. Okay? I apologize. You come apologize for something wrong we done with me, and I say, okay, I do. But you gotta change. What the fuck? Who are you? Remember, a moment of aggression can destroy years of patience, years of love. And kindness is the bigger driver to help you to flex the muscle. Whether we accept or not, we are connected in this world. The only reason I'm here talking to you is because someone taught me English, that learned from someone. We are connected. I don't give a fuck about what you think, but we are. One way or another. And if you believe in karma, what you give is what you get. Don't control what you get, just control what you give. Fucking easy, right? We tell stories on our mind, and we use rationality to justify those stories, all right? We are somehow, you see, that's the most interesting stuff in Buddhism. We are somehow these many different personalities living under the same roof. And somehow, so we are the guy, I'm the guy who wants to eat, yesterday I want to eat pizza, but the same guy say, no, we got to eat vegetables. Like, it's so mundane. It's the guy who walks to the workplace and want to be smart, but want others to do your work. So somehow, we are these different personalities living on the same roof. And if you don't make peace with that, and if you don't flex your muscle of kindness and justify and work around the emotions, not going to have fix. Fix the stories in your mind. Stillness. From silence comes discovery. We always running after the next meeting, the next thing. We always think that our learnings in the work or life will come from running. But in reality, our learnings come from recovery. When you're recovering, on the recovery moment, on the recover mode, that's where the learnings are. And you can use religion to explain, you can use psychology to explain, you can use neuroscience. I can talk to you about any of these three areas to justify what I just said to you. Learn meditation. That's the first thing. How many of you guys, I hardly can see you, I'm so sorry, but how many of you guys do daily mindfulness or meditation? Yeah, very few. Okay. A lot of you guys don't. And the normal answer I have, it's just fact check with me, is I just can't do meditation and mindfulness because I keep thinking about things. Is that fair? Yeah? Guess what? That busy, it's with you 24 hours. That doesn't happen when you try to meditate. You're just aware of that when you try to meditate. It's a muscle to control that thing. And it doesn't matter. You can go, I was watching Serena Williams talking on here, the Advertising Week, meditation. I was talking a great panel of amazing women, meditation. You go to Buddhism, meditation. It fucking works. I can tell you, I do every day. And it changed me. Learn meditation, learn mindfulness. Mindfulness is the simplest thing in the world. It's just being present. There's no past is gone. Your future, yeah, you can plan, you can aspire for this, but you cannot live there. That's called depression, that's called anxiety. All right? That's it. Living too much in the future, try to control the shit that's gonna happen in 10 minutes. I can control what you guys thinking about me. I can control what I give to you. I can control what's gonna happen to me in an hour. I can control what's happening right now. Of course, you gotta have aspirations, otherwise you live a purpose life. Of course you gotta. But presence, that's what mindfulness teaches you. Mindfulness. Very simple, it's just being here. Let me teach you very simple techniques from Navy SEALs here from America. They have the square breathing. Very simple, okay? All you need to do is to imagine a square. Breathe in, 3 seconds. Breathe out 3 seconds. And do that. 45 seconds. Perfect. Before a meeting, between meetings, before a pitch, it works. I don't think Navy SEALs have any problems right now, don't they? So they know what they're doing. Another thing that I really like to teach, mainly young kids, for whoever has young kids here, and your staff as well, we call that, it's an unfortunate name, but it's a name someone gave this. This is 5 fingers gratitude. Every single day, what is the end of the day, the beginning of the day, 5 things you're grateful for. I write my own, I need to write my diary. I need to. If I don't do that, and I make plans. And what I do is I compare in the end of the day what I promised I would be doing the day, in the morning. That's what I do, all right? So that comes from Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius, the biggest emperor in Rome, he wrote Meditations, the book Meditations, which is his diary. That's it. So he used to write his plans in the morning, compare with the kind of person he would be. And I do silly little things, like I do say hello to 5 people that you don't know. How many of you guys have a chat to the staff on the floor here? Each one has an amazing, yesterday I got immersed with one of the girls, she's an actor here in New York, and her stories are amazing. And then suddenly we're talking about having dinner with her mom. It's not boyfriend or anything, because I'm too old for her, but it was just kindness to listen to her story. So, learn meditation, learn silence, learn your recovery. I learned a lot about stillness from sports athletes, where they actually build their skills through the recovery time. Do not confuse. Being busy is stupid. That's what I told myself. I was just worth it if I was busy. It's stupid. Now I actually take a lot, I look up for people who knows how to take pauses between actions. I need to keep going. Control your mind. That's what I talked to you about. Every time you get yourselves anxious, so how many of you guys feel anxious? Fuck all the time. Oh, fuck all the time. What a hard shit to control. Okay, my tip, I'm just gonna get quite practical because I'm running behind the time. Use square breathing. Second, start to mentalize that it's just happening in your brain. It's not happening in real life. Sometimes you might be even projecting. So projection psychology is to try to guess what someone might be thinking about you or about you what you're about to say. That's called projection, okay? It's a fantasy. It doesn't exist, just here in our brain. So just remember yourself that every time you have an anxiety, start to work through the breathing and just work around the story you're telling yourself. And challenge that story, because it's most of the time they're just mental projections of illusion, and this illusion becomes a delusion. Pay attention to your shame and guilt. We all have it. And to be honest, women even more. And I would love to help as much as I can, and I do in Australia. Pay attention to your shame and guilt. Do not let these two feelings take control of your actions, because that's why you don't go after the next job. That's why you don't ask for a promotion, because if you're ashamed, it's a whole new talk about that. Just pay attention to these two feelings. Please, please, please. Another thing is, just think about it. When you're feeling, and I used to feel very anxious all the time, is I built these mental possibilities in my mind. That person going to yell with me, that person not going to give me what I want, that client not going to sign the contract, possibilities. And then the crazy thing is, we use possibilities to justify certainties. All right? We send an email to someone and want an answer. That person doesn't answer. We say, you see, that person really doesn't like me. Fuck that. But the person might be sick. The person might be not working that day. The person might just be busy. So that possibilities become certainty. And that certainty, that's what suffering enters. In Buddhism, we have very simple. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. And suffering happens between this gap between what you want to happen and what actually happens in the world. That's the gap here. And that's where suffering happens. Hope and fear are the same. Hope and fear are the same. They're enemies of present moment. So just control these two things. I like this story. During celebration times, Egyptians, they used to do this really weird thing during celebration times. They used to bring a dead body to the party. And they used to say, drink and eat and be merry while you still can. And let that be a memory for you, what's going to happen to you. And I find this quite, it's quite like crazy, but actually works, right? And my mind is, don't postpone anything. That little dog, it's Marcus. There was, first day I got it to the refugee camp, he used to follow me everywhere. doesn't matter where I would go, he would follow me. Pretty as hell. He would follow me, and he would just be the most amazing little puppy. It was a big companionship for me during this time there. And we spent a lot of time together. It was lovely. I think it was about 1 week or 10 days after I left the camp, I got a call from a good friend, Spanish, who was there, and she said, he died. A car ran over him about a week after I left. And this is, I think, June, July. And I told this in Sydney, I just cracked crying in the stage. That for me, the reason I show you is just don't postpone anything. It will happen. And I'm just talking about that. I'm talking about change. Good, bad, things will happen. Just take control. Find a community. One thing is, that's me doing a silly dance with some Syrian boys. That's me climbing Great Off China. That's a little story I want to tell very quickly about this. When I was working in my company, I had these amazing people working with me. And big groups tried to buy us, right? Interpublic, WPP, they tried to buy us. And end up not buying because they'll come to me and say, look, Lucio, this business is all centralized around you. So I worked up a replacement, a leadership team. And I did really well. I hired really amazing people to replace me. But I fucked up. I forgot to find myself a new role, a new function. I forgot about myself. So I gave a role for every single person. I empowered every single person. I trained there, and I found myself isolated, like a tribe, and I was outside the fire. That was the beginning of my burnout, but I didn't know that. And I could not understand. I say, look, I'm always surrounded by people. I always have friends, and I have all these things, but why I feel so lonely? Not alone, I love being alone. But I was feeling so lonely. I could not understand until I stayed in the refugee camp. And that makes a fucking lot of sense. Wasn't about being surrounded by people. Was about having a community. Where your personality, your personal wishes and wants, it's smaller than the well-being from the community. You live there. There's no titles. There's no role. You're just a part of a unique thing. And I had lost that. The only community I had was my business. I was defined by that. I was the guy who was working with Mercedes-Benz and Oreo. That's it. That's my definition of the world. I forgot how to be a husband. I forgot how to be a friend. I forgot to be everything. And that's why my marriage finished after 15 years. And I absolutely love my ex-wife. We're really good friends. And she's going to watch this. I love you, Jessica. She's amazing. But I forgot how to be a husband. Because I lost my communities. So I got back from the refugee, and I said, I'm going to rebuild my communities. And I found my place. And my whole burnout, depression started to fade away, along with a ton of medicines. So, no, I'm joking. No, not. I'm an archer now. I'm a part of a philosophy group. I'm part of my Buddhist center. It's amazing because it's all these old and dudes and dudettes, and I'm the only like a youngish guy. So we go to these tours during the day just because I can. And it's like the average age there. It's probably like 65. If you take me away, it's probably 85. And I'm the only guy there. But it's lovely. And it's so supportive. I was coming back we went to a day of retreat in a temple, in a Buddhist temple, and we are surrounded by these people. And I sit down to have lunch. It's a community lunch. And this woman next to me, she's about 80 years old. She said to me, I lost my son 2 months ago. I'm still recovering. Cancer, 38 years old. He died in about a month and a half, came and he died. I didn't even know what to tell her. But 1 hour later, we are coming back in a bus. I got a phone call from my vet telling about my dog, that my dog was about to die. He said, like, it's a month. And guess who's next to me, like right here? The same woman. And I told her a story about my dog, and she looked at me, and I looked at her, and it was just this beautiful moment of eyes comfort. And this will never have happened 2 years ago, because 2 years ago, I was just after who has the beautiful title on the business card. Who gonna give me the next account? But you know what? I spend way too much time with people who are not gonna show up on my funeral. Who not gonna show up on my funeral. And I don't give the best energy for people who will. And I don't know why I'm a little bit morbid today and talk too much about death, but it's in a good way, all right? Please, please, please. So, I have one question for you. That's perfect for someone who's really talking about that. Can you think of yourself as dead? Because we are, okay? You have lived your life up to now. You have. And there's not enough titles. There's not enough awards. I have it all. I won more awards than you can imagine. Do you know what they're doing now? They're sitting at home. Nobody cares. They're not going to save my dog. They're going to save me to be here. And I haven't even shown an award to you guys, and I'm still here, very proudly talking to you. That shit is worthless. For me. Doesn't need to be for you, please. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling my story. What doesn't transmit light creates its own darkness. Look after yourselves. Look after your loneliness. Loneliness creates imaginary conflicts. You think shit if you're not defined by all the things. I'd like to remember you guys to be a cheerleader of people. Every single person in your business, in your life, on your streets, they're fighting a battle that you're not aware of. Just be kind. Avoid the small little conflicts in your business. You're in a meeting, they have that annoying person. Let that be. Even your enemy has someone who loves him or her. Even your enemy has a father, a mother, a son, a daughter, someone who absolutely loves him or her. Be mindful with your choices. And more importantly, with your desires. Being poor, in my concept, is not having too little. Being poor is wanting to have more, and more. That's what happened to me. And that's how miserable I became. I'd like to leave you guys with one message. Don't be defined by just one thing. Don't compare yourself with the success of others. Be inspired, aspire for others, absolutely fine. Compare yourself with a version of yourself yesterday, or the version you want to be tomorrow. And more important, be kind. Be kind in your office, be kind to your kids, be kind to your family. Just be kind. These are the people who are going to be there when you need it. Do not forget that. So I'd like to thank you for the attention. I'd like you to thank for being with me. And I'd like to apologize for my F-bombs. I'd like you to go in peace with a smile on your face, a smile on your soul. Thank you very much. We have time for a few questions. If you want to stick around, whoever needs to go, it's fine. What do I do? Just wait?
I'll use the mic.
Anyone has any questions? Oh, wow. I think that's good. I think this is a good thing.
I'd just like to say thank you for sharing your story honestly, and it's probably the most honest thing I've seen in Adweek this week. So,
look, on the flip side, I'm not talking about TV is dead. I'm not talking about digital is going to be the future. I'm not talking about AI going to take our jobs. And I'm not talking about diversity not coming up to these sessions. But thank you. I appreciate. I cannot see you properly, but thank you very much. Guys, I'll let you go because they'll probably say, okay, enough of you. Thank you. Thank you.